Now, as we go through spring practice here, we get some clarifications of some position fits. Now back here on the back end, we get Mitchell at safety. We get Jaden Hill at star from last week, and hey, look, now we'll get to hear from Corey Raymond on Jaden Hill's play at star and other players, Jason Marshall, Devin Moore, true freshman Jakeem Jackson. And then Mitchell comes back in and follows that up with his thoughts on the secondary and all these early enrollee freshmen.
Gives that extra, added guy that's a twitchy guy inside that can blitz, that can do something, that can cover inside and slot man to man, and it fits his body style. It's going to fit him, and I think he's going to prosper in that position.
Is there one guy that you've got that you say you had him last year and you look at and you say, wow, he's just really turned the page and really made dramatic improvement?
Well, I say Jason Marshall. He's got better, as the season started progressing. You saw the climb in his play, which, he was a highly recruited guy. Everybody recruited him. And you see that coming out right now.
In what ways?
From just being a pro, doing everything the right way, working extra, working hard at practice, doing all those little things. That's what he's doing. That it's like he's ready to be a professional, and he's working like that to be a professional.
You guys lost a lot of guys. I mean, you lost some key guys, but you didn't go hit the portal. So
no.
What's that say about the guys you haven't?
Coming in? I'm a guy. I just believe in the guys I recruit. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's what you homebred. This is just, you get those guys and you develop them. Everything is all going to be about development, and I think the guys want that. Most times the guys trying to poke our guys.
Speaking of that, Jakeem Jackson, where's he at right now?
Oh, he's coming along really good. He's going to be real good. He has a chance to be special. We just got to keep him going, keep him understanding what we want, the details of playing the position, because at the end of the day, it's about your athleticism, but there's a lot of details in the position that you have to learn, and it's going to be changing every play because, things change, and you got to be able to change quick, so you got to be a critical thinker, and that's what he's starting to learn, how to become a critical thinker.
Do you think he'll be able to play as a true freshman?
Yeah, he'll get some playing time. We've got some really good guys here, and I think he'll get in there.
How did you identify him in the recruiting process?
Receiver. He played receiver, then he moved to DB, but you saw the traits. And then, like you say, you saw the traits that he had, and I thought that he was a really good player in high school. Once he started playing the position, now you see the how he's growing. And he had some guys working with him outside of that did a good job with him, and to help him with his fundamentals. And those guys down there did a good job with him.
I think it was great that Coach Raymond got promoted over all the DBs. He's got a lot of experience. He's coached a lot of good players, and he knows what it takes to get all of us to that elite level.
What's his defense going to require from the secondary? I mean, guys are going to end up on an island maybe a little bit more sometimes because of the aggressiveness of the scheme, it sounds like.
Yeah, just the regular fundamentals, communication, tackling is going to be an important one. Getting everybody lined up, making sure everybody's in the right spots, and make sure not beating ourselves, just getting the MAs right.
How much does that fall on you, like lining guys up since you're on the back end?
Yeah, that's that's like our main job really, since we're like the quarterback of the defense, so that's been our main job. One of our big focuses of the spring is communication, just getting everybody lined up on defense.
With Rashad and Trey Gunn, how much do you view this as an opportunity for you right now?
Those guys have a lot of experience. I learned a lot from those guys, and just stepping in, taking that role, taking over what I learned as a freshman, bringing it into the sophomore year. I'm excited to see what I can do.
Kamari, in terms of your communication with them, I mean, you guys played together some last year. It looks like we're going to be playing together a lot. What's that like, and have you guys kind of created a little bond, you think?
Yeah, we got a good relationship out the field. I'm with them pretty much all the time. You could say we always buddy all the time.
Okay. Yeah. How about on the field in terms of how you guys are communicating, you think?
Yeah, we try to so what we've been doing, we try to play left and right. I mean, we both pretty much load the defense pretty much well, so we just try to communicate and stay on the same page all the time.
The new class, what are they showing you so far?
I think that's a really good group of freshmen. Yeah, they're coming in. They know more than I expected coming in as a freshman. Most of them are already here, coming in that early enrollee, so that would be big going into the season. Is that they'll get that extra time over the people coming in May,
Some guys are saying that they're bringing a new kind of energy into the program. Yeah. Are you feeling that at all?
Yeah, for sure. They coming in locked in. They're ready to work. They got a different mindset to them. They got this work mentality, and that's kind of what we need.
What they need, Will, and absolutely. I mean, there is a lot of youth on that back end for the Gators. That's why there's so many early enrollees, true freshmen early enrollees. But, hey, look, Kamari Wilson, Miguel Mitchell, they were contributors last season, played a lot of football last season as true freshmen. Now they're starting at safety. They were true freshmen last year. Now they come in as sophomores, and they're both starting at those safety spots. But look, they have familiarity with this defense, so you hope that pays off. Their second year in the system, young guys there. Elsewhere you have the experience: Jason Marshall, Jaden Hill, Jadarius Perkins. But besides those guys, Will, it is youthfulness going on there. You have a guy as a second year Gator, Jalen Kimber, but he's played some football at Georgia as well, of course, but his second year as a Gator. You got second year overall Devin Moore, and then the slew of early enrollee true freshmen that were just brought up: Jakeem Jackson, Jordan Castell, Sharif Denson, Bryce Thornton, Aaron Gates. So, Will, while it is a second season in this defense for some, Florida, at times they're going to have to rely on players getting their very first reps in spring practice right now, and extend that to linebacker transfers to Roger Mitchell, Deuce Spurlock, Jaden Robinson is a true freshman, Caleb Banks, Cam Jackson up front as transfers. They'll be relied on. So hopefully the growing pains of last year with everything being so new doesn't show up this year. But this will be a defense with some new faces. There'll be some large roles played by those new faces, whether they're a transfer, whether they're true freshmen, or we're just some young guys in their in their second season. So while there is a lot of familiarity for many, a lot of contributors are going to be playing their first snaps in this defense.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I think that's sort of the theme for the entire team overall. It's not just the defense. I mean, if I look at it, I've got 53 guys on my count out of the scholarship players that are on here who are either freshmen, redshirt freshmen, or sophomores, which means you're going with a youth movement, and that's sort of been the direction that Napier and company have taken since the start. I think that one of the things that's interesting is, you mentioned the safeties, Mitchell specifically, the fact that you talked about and that Raymond talked about, no, he's a safety. We're not going to hybrid him between safety and star. I actually think that's important when you've got the youth, right? That what you can't do is try to teach a guy 6 positions if you need him to know what he's going to do and execute well at one. And, throughout the entire Grantham era, and then last year with Tony, there was an awful lot of guys moving around, having to be able to play multiple positions. Even if you go back to like Amari Burney, a guy who originally they talked about, well, we're going to have him flex between a safety and a linebacker. And I don't know that it's a coincidence that it took until his 5th year in the program to really start to take real steps forward as a linebacker. And so you think about Mitchell. If you have him learning both star and safety and you say, well, now I want you to play safety full time, it's going to be a tough adjustment. So doing it in the spring and then saying, hey, look, we're going to have depth charts at each of these positions, but you're going to know that position well, I think is probably a better way to do things than saying, hey, this guy has some skills we could use here, some skills we could use here, and we're going to kind of try to cut the corner with a hybrid player who can take both positions. Now, obviously, you're going to have guys who can fill in if you've got injuries and those sorts of things. But in terms of focus during the spring, making sure that everybody gets the most reps they can, I think it's way more effective to get a guy like Mitchell a bunch of reps at safety than it is to get him some reps at safety, some reps at star, and sort of move him around a lot. So I'm actually really excited to hear those sorts of comments, that they're focusing in on making sure that they have one specific position for these guys, right? The Jaden Hill is the star. Okay, great. He's going to learn that position. And if they have to move him outside, okay, they'll do it. But I think for the most part, they're going to hope that they have at least a 2 deep at both cornerback positions so that Jaden Hill can stay at the star, learn the star, excel at the star, and not have some of the communication and execution issues that they had last year just because of knowledge of the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm big on those safeties too, Will, of some familiarity, getting a lot of experience last year. Those guys are going to play safety now. As you mentioned, the Hill at star is interesting. I'll admit, and to see if he has, I think there's a mentality that goes to play along with that position there, and of course some little injury history there too. We'll see how he feels in there. But we heard Javion say, he likes what Perkins has been doing there as well. Now we've seen a lot more of him on the field the last couple of years, not necessarily really be able to break through and become that consistent starter. Can he now under this new look secondary with Corey Raymond, new DC, Austin Armstrong, find a more consistent role out there on the field as well. So, yeah, very interesting comments also with all those early enrollees. And look, we heard Andy Jean and Kelby Collins and those guys right before spring practice started through the Gator Collective of like, hey, they want that attitude. They want the attitude of bringing a kind of new vibe in. We heard the vibe wasn't so well, as you brought up, Will, and Javion brought up the transfers heading out, where there's some new guys, new blood coming in, and they do seem to be, bringing this kind of new mindset into this team for what Billy Napier's looking for in players and guys ready to hit the field and ready to contribute. And look, for the secondary, I mean, I'll go through the names, one more time, but Jakeem Jackson, Jordan Castell, Sharif Denson, Bryce Thornton, Aaron Gates. I mean, those guys are getting early enrollee spring reps. And you hope by the time fall rolls around, those guys are ready to contribute, because Florida's going to need one or two of those guys at some point this season back there in that secondary.
Well, I mean, look, you can't have 6 guys who are freshmen, redshirt freshmen at a particular position and not have them contribute. They have to contribute. There's no depth otherwise, right? And so I think Miguel Mitchell and Kamari Wilson are going to be in fantastic shape, but they're going to need a playoff every once in a while, or they're going to get nicked up every once in a while. Now, the good news is you could probably get through the Utah game with minimal rotations if you have to, and then you obviously have the I think it's McNeese State coming up week 2, where you've got a little bit of a cupcake where you can get these guys' feet wet in the swamp, that sort of stuff. But Florida, they hit the ground running this year. They're on the road at Utah to start with, and so if there are any injuries in spring, you need these guys to step in. You may have guys who are really, really young starting a game on the road in Utah right away, and then
week 3. They got to be ready for that Tennessee passing attack. I mean, it's like you just said, it is growing up fast for this young group.
Well, the good news is that as much as people like to throw shade at Hendon Hooker, I don't know that Joe Milton's necessarily going to be able to reproduce that. It's still going to be a good offense. I don't think it's going to be as good as last year.
Right.
But again, I look back at when you think about, especially against the Tennessee, if you go back and watch that Tennessee tape, a lot of Florida's mistakes there were communication mistakes, not physical errors. And so freshmen who come in, especially in the spring who enroll early, you would expect them to have a few of those, but not continuous. And so by the time you get 3, 4, 5 games in, those things should pretty much have resolved themselves. And that was one of the things I think that was kind of disturbing last year, is those never really resolved themselves throughout the course of the year. So, look, I think when you've got this level of youth, there's not going to be any sacred cows. There's not going to be anybody out there who like, well, we can't remove you. It's like, no, like we've got everybody here is the same exact age. Everybody here has the same exact number of reps. We're going to put the best player in. And if you make the mental mistakes that everybody made last year, you're going to have somebody right behind him to bring in. So I think the level of competition at that position is going to be really, really high. Now, what's the ceiling? I don't know, because, obviously the competition within the room, this is always the question you have in the spring game, right? When the offense sputters, you're like, well, was it the defense was great? Or if the offense torches the defense, well, is it because the offense is good? Like, you're always asking that question. You're going to ask that question coming out of spring camp all the time. But these guys were promised an opportunity to try to get a starting spot early, and they're going to compete for it. And they have to see it, right? In practice, these true freshmen are coming in, sitting there going with the 1s and the 2s, because at the end of the day, that's where the depth chart sort of lies. And so you're going to get that level of competition. So I'm excited to see what happens there. With a bunch of those young guys, especially Jakeem Jackson is the one that I look at and just go, I have, Nick Newsom.
He's going to be too good to keep off the field, Will. And word is he's producing interceptions in spring camp already. So coming along pretty fast, the fast riser of the last recruiting class.
Well, Nick Knudsen sent me some video of him when he went and saw him in high school, and let's just say that it jumped, right? Like the video he was showing me from the high school game just jumped off the tape. He was also a wide receiver there in high school too, so he's somebody who knows that position from that side. And that can only help you as a cornerback when you're trying to figure out exactly what routes somebody go on and things like that. I thought it was interesting that Javion, basically, when I asked him his favorite formation, it was a film formation. It was something where you see the splits, you see where the guys line up, and that tells you what the routes are and what the route combinations will be for the guy who's coming out. That's interesting, right? Because it means that, in terms of the coaching staff, that's what they're trying to get these guys up on, right? Is
There you go.
don't try to guard the entire route tree. You see from their formation, this is what you're going to get. And to have someone light up and say, hey, that's the thing that I enjoy and the thing that I'm proud of is being able to see from the pre-snap alignment what's coming. So look, you get a guy like Jakeem Jackson who's got those kind of physical skills. If he can pick up that stuff that Javion was talking about there earlier, then I think you've got a real dynamic combination there from knowing what route's coming and then having the physical skills to take advantage of it.
Yeah, plenty young talent coming in. I'm eager to see those guys in that orange and blue game. This secondary group was highly regarded. Of course, Cormani McLean recruitment happens, and some other targets out there. Of course, now Mitchell getting in trouble at Bama and all that stuff. Maybe works out best for Florida in the end. Will with a lot of those names that we were discussing here. As I said, Jakeem Jackson, the riser throughout the class. Sharif Denson, kind of the utility player back there. Castile and Thornton, being able to probably get some safety reps coming up as well. Aaron Gates, throw him in there too. Those names I'm eager to see when Florida lines up on that Thursday night in the orange and blue game, what early enrollees maybe come out of that with a little more stature in their name and hopefully translate somewhere down the line in the fall.
Want more Gators Breakdown? Join Gators Breakdown Plus. Starting at $3 a month. Get access to unique episodes, plus a blog, chat room, giveaways, shout-outs, and more. Gators Breakdown Plus is furthering the interaction with fans and listeners like you. Head to gatorsbreakdown.supportingcast.fm to join Gators Breakdown Plus today.